guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kim and this is Expedition Through Pages. So I thought today I would do the BookTube Newbie Tag. This isn't my first video, but I feel like it would be nice to do it at the start of January, just to introduce myself and kind of let you know what my interests are and if they mesh with yours. The first question is, why did you start this channel? The reason I started it was because I've watched a lot of BookTube for about maybe 3-4 years, and I've got more and more into it, and I've picked up knowing more and more booktubers, and I just really enjoy it, and I've kind of been like commenting a little bit more here and there, and I just wanted to join in the conversation. The second question is, what are some fun and unique things can I bring to BookTube? And the answer to that is, I don't know about fun. I wouldn't say I was that fun. So basically what I want to bring to BookTube, like to my BookTube, is kind of a bit more non-fiction than I've found out there. I currently have a challenge to read around the world, and I just want to talk about those books that I find from different countries on here, and just to kind of share what I've been learning and kind of pass on the message about things, because for some countries, like last year I was reading about Burundi, and I hadn't even heard of Burundi as a country before that. So I felt like when I've talked to like my friends from home and things, they're exactly the same as me and they just had never heard of Burundi. So I wanted to use BookTube as a place to kind of just share what I find, and also to get recommendations, because it can be very difficult to find books from certain countries, or to pick if there's lots from that country. So the next question is, what are you most excited about for this new channel? Mainly I'm just excited just to be a part of the chat and to just kind of maybe make some friends, because you know, I can be kind of boring and a broken record at home, like, oh, I've read this, and like, oh, you should read this, and like people, you know, actually I'm lucky because at the moment the people I work with love to read, so that's really cool. But you know, people don't want to talk about books all the time, so it's nice to have a place where you can talk about books whenever you want. Question number 4 is, why do you love reading? And the answer to that is that I love to learn. And that hasn't always been the case. I have not always loved to learn, but as I've got older, I've just realised one day that I was pretty ignorant to the rest of the world, and I really wanted to learn more. And so that's kind of why I started the challenge to read around the world, and also just why I've just picked up like even general kind of fiction reading as well, because obviously it helps you understand, well, hopefully helps you to become a more empathetic person. So that is why, and also it's enjoyable. What book or series got you into reading is question number 5. I don't really know, because I did read a lot when I was a kid, and I had like the Babysitter Club books and all of those, but as an adult, like I say, I just kind of casually got back into it over time and then decided to set this challenge. I think there was a long period in my adult life where I didn't read, and but what got me into reading? I guess you could say, like, what I could say, Enid Blyton books. I know that my mum had loads of Enid Blyton books, and I loved to read them. The Secret Seven, The Famous Five, The Magic Faraway Tree. I just loved all those books. Anything magical I really liked, anything adventurous I really liked. So that probably is what captured my interest as a child. Question number 6 is, what questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? I don't really know. Like, I feel like, I guess in this day and age of Twitter, is you can ask them questions if you so wish. I guess I would ask, how are you guys so productive? And how do you keep on top of a schedule? And how do you read so much? Like, yeah, I don't know, like, just kind of productivity questions kind of spring to mind, really. because the people that I watch, some of them make, you know, 2 videos a week, 2-3 videos a week, which might not sound a lot to like yourself, whoever's watching, but for me that's a pretty impressive feat. I feel like I could probably get 2 out a month. I'm pretty slow. The 7th question is, what challenges do you think will be the hardest to overcome starting a BookTube channel? I think actually sitting down and getting used to talking to the camera is the hardest part, and not hating yourself when you watch it back, thinking, oh my gosh, what an idiot. And also like just having to kind of prep, and like, I mean, I look terrible today, which I apologize for. I'm exhausted from working and didn't really sleep great last night. So I feel like that's the hardest thing. I'm hoping that it gets easier over time, because I do find it quite hard to actually get set up and ready to go and become more natural at talking to the camera. I have had lots of practice goes over the last couple of years where I've uploaded nothing, so this is going a bit better than those times. So the 8th question is, when did you start to read? I think I answered that in my previous answer actually. I started to read as soon when I was 3. I was very lucky, my mum taught me how to read, and I read a lot as a child, and I was very lucky in that my mum took us to the local library and we got to pick out like, you know, 8 books and bring them back, and my brother loved to read as well, so there were lots of books. And I remember I had this like bookcase, well, I think it was my brother's bookcase with a little dog on it, and I remember once I like made a library out of my books, and that was like the best game ever. So yes, as a child. Question number 9, where do you like to read? So I read on my commute on the train. I'm really sorry about that. I live in London. There's like a meow meow alarm going off. I like to read on my commute. It's kind of calming when you feel like, oh, I'm gonna go to work. In my job, there's a part of my job I can do where I can actually listen to an audiobook. So that I love to do as mindless work, listening to an audiobook. That's really great. I feel like I'm proper multitasking. And the other thing is just in my home, like sitting in bed with a nice cup of tea, chilling on the sofa with a nice cup of tea or coffee. The last question is, what kind of books do you like to read? And also, I think I answered this already, but I say factual books, I try and keep kind of like a range of books. I always try and have a maths or sciencey book on the go. So for example, at the moment I'm reading Atomic by Jim Baggott, which is about the making of the atomic bomb. I said that a bit too jazz hands for such a terrible thing. But yeah, so things like this, just because I studied physics at university, so I just love to read about physics and maths, basically. But there are some fascinating stories about historical physicists of the past. So hopefully I can share some of those with you in the future. I really, really like to read memoirs and biographies about people as well. I find that real life is so fascinating. Like, so I read Educated last year, which is about someone who grew up in a very strict Mormon household, very by the book Mormon household. That was just a fascinating read, and very informative about a completely different life going on elsewhere in the world. And I also read recently a book called This Voice in My Heart by Gilbert Taubonnier, which is about a guy who sadly lived through the massacres that happened in Burundi in the 90s. His classmates were killed. He was a survivor, and now he lives in the States and is a runner. And it was his memoir of his life, childhood, grown up, and the day of the massacre, basically. That was a very eye-opening read, and I would highly recommend that too. So I'll put a picture here for that. So anyway, that's the kind of things I like to read. I also do like to read fiction. Mainly the fiction that I've been reading at the moment is completely based off BookTube, because I never used to read adult fiction before that. So I'm kind of trying my hand at anything at the moment because I'm not really sure if I have like a complete preference of like one thing. Yeah, so for instance at the moment I'm reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I'm currently reading Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which I guess is a fantasy about gods and goddesses and the cool stuff, which I'm really, really enjoying. So yeah, I recently read War of the Worlds and I absolutely loved that book. Just finished 1984, loved that. Yeah, so I'm kind of just discovering books really that I probably should have already read. I probably could have already read but have not. So anyway, that's all about me. If anybody watches this, please do introduce yourself and let me know a bit about you, because that'd be really cool. Thank you very much for watching and I hope to speak to you soon. Okay, bye.